What's the weirdest thing a complete stranger has said to you? I'm a server, and as I dropped off the check to one of my tables, I said, "Have a great rest of your day," like I always do, and the guy looks me dead in the eye and says, "You don't give a crap about me," then leaves me a 40% tip. Such a weird moment. That was nice of him, I guess. I work at a restaurant. I brought a guy his coffee and he said, "Oh, bless you, sir. May your birth control method never fail." Okay, so again, I can't tell if this is nice or mean, because is he saying, "I hope you never reproduce," or "I hope you never have an accident, child"? When me and my cousin were about 10, we were walking around Walmart. We saw a lady with dreadlocks, and my cousin asked how to get hair like that. She told us you have to wear a KFC bucket on your head for 2 months. Well, to be fair, if you put a greasy bucket on your head for 2 months, it would probably make it just as gross as getting dreadlocks. I was living with 3 roommates, and our toilet needed fixing one day. The landlords came by, and we showed them to the bathroom with the 2 plumbers they had brought. There was at least 6 people in the room, and one of the plumbers looked at only me and starts speaking in Russian to me. I don't speak Russian. He then says in English, "Oh, you don't speak Russian?" I replied, "No." He gave me a look and went about his plumbing business. Okay, that was odd. And then months later, maybe even a year later or more, I was in a shop at a mall and had been discussing some items with the sales clerk. We'd been talking for some time, and she had an accent that sounded Russian. I have an American accent, and towards the end of our conversation, she asked, "Have you ever been Russian?" I reply, "No." Okay, not weird, as she's from Russia. But then she says, "There's someone in Russia who looks just like you." I'm mildly convinced I'm a sleeper agent, or that I have a Russian twin. Have you been wearing any Adidas tracksuits? Because that is the #1 way to get mistaken for being Russian. I got mugged once in Glasgow as a young teenager. This is how the conversation went. "I'm going to need whatever money you have on you, kid." I say, I got a 20-pound note, but I need it to get the train home." Says, "How much is your ticket?" I say, "About 8 or 9 pounds. It's like, "Oh, that's alright, I've got change." He took my 20 and gave me 10 back. Not a bad mugging by any means. I have translated from Glaswegian regional dialect to Queen's English for all you folks not lucky enough to be born in the central belt of Scotland. You know, I have to wonder where the line crosses from where it goes from a polite mugging to just an aggressive, friendly favor. I was once in a restroom at Disney in Orlando. I was probably either 14 or 15 at the time, and this happened. I walked in to see one of the urinals. While I was taking care of my business, another older gentleman walked up next to me and began to use the urinal next to mine. As I zipped up, he asked me how old I was. I told him, and he said, "That's not bad for someone your age." To date, this is one of the strangest things to happen to me, ever. You know, usually stories that are this edgy, I cut them out of the video, but this one's subtle and funny enough that I think I can leave it. At a gas station at 2 a.m., a guy yells, "Hey!" really loud. I think, oh crap, I'm about to get mugged. "Hey!" he shouts again. I looked at him, and he continues, "Were you aware that some guitar player died?" No. He then proceeds to have a drunken conversation about him with me. After what I thought was an amicable conversation, he mugged me. Okay, but did he give you your change when he mugged you? I've posted this before, but a guy came up to me once and asked if I had a light for a smoke. Before I get a chance to respond, he said, "No wait, you're too fat to smoke," and walked away. I guess I have heard smoking is a bit of a skinny person thing. Maybe that's why everyone thinks I have a lighter all the time. "There's 1,000 angry crackheads coming this way right now." Okay, I mean, we don't really need any context. That's enough of a story on its own. 2 guys came up to me while I was gassing up my car and asked, "Hey, do you know what the plastic tip of a shoelace is called?" I did and said, "It's called an aglet." One turns to the other and says, "See, B, I told you." They went inside. I finished putting gas in my car, and just as I'm about to leave, the guy stops me, gives me a Snickers bar, and leaves. Well, I guess it pays to know the most obscure little random facts, because I had no idea there was even a name for that thing. I was at college, and this husky guy with an untrimmed neckbeard asked me what time it was. I politely told him what it was, even giving a smile, and he stuck his hand out to me. Confused, I shook his hand, but he seemed confused, almost startled as he did these weird hand gestures. He whispered, "Oh crap, you don't know the handshake," before leaving with a worried look on his face. Well, it sounds like you almost just infiltrated some massive conspiracy. When I was a kid, I was walking around and found a pile of broken windshield glass. I don't know if I believed it or not, but I yelled out, "Whoa, I just found diamonds!" And some extremely old man came from a nearby corner and said, "Hand 'em over." The look on his face when he saw me kneeling over shattered windshield glass was priceless. Wow, that old man sounds like he's really open to the idea of just mugging a child. A guy at a bar walked up to me suddenly and asked, "Hey, are you that girl whose brother died recently?" I wasn't, but what if I was? Not the best opening line either way. I went and told a friend about it, and she recognized him as someone who came up to her and a friend at the same bar, and his opening line was, "Excuse me, I'm not attracted to either of you girls at all, but I was just wondering if you have ever tried Google+." Wow, that is probably the best pickup line I've ever heard. This guy gets it. An older woman walked up very calmly and quietly said, "You remind me of my dead son." Which isn't super weird. Grief makes people vulnerable unto themselves. Then, however, she laughed and said, "Oh no, I'm thinking of someone else." What even is your brain right now? So was she saying, "You remind me of somebody else that's not my dead son?" Or she just wanted to come up and say, "Hey, somebody else reminds me of my dead son. I just thought you should know." Not me, but to my sister on 2009 MLK Day while we were walking downtown. Someone said, "If Dr. King had to write another speech, it'd be about dad ass and dem jeans." Well, I mean, it's probably not too far off. I worked in a large retail supermarket. I was bent forward, placing some toys on a podium, when suddenly my rear was slapped. Like, really slapped. I turn around and a neat elderly lady around age 70 stands behind me, and she states, "I always do that to young girls in my local supermarket." Then she chuckled softly. I just smiled, confused, without any idea how to respond to that. It's really amazing what old people can get away with. I was doing my grocery shopping and grabbed some mee goreng noodles off the shelf. A voice piped up behind me and said, "Don't get those, they're genetically modified. They'll mess up your bum and give you Alzheimer's." I say, "What?" "It's true, my mom had Alzheimer's and I stopped her eating them and now she doesn't have it anymore." "They're just noodles, mate, I'll be okay. You've got to learn to trust your gut. I'm Russian, I'm psychic, and I'm 50 years old. I know these things." At this point, I look him straight in the eye and put 2 packs of noodles into my trolley before walking away. I'm not gonna let some friggin' Russian psychic push me around. Well, I hope you enjoy your Alzheimer's and your messed up bum, whatever that means. I was catching the bus home after work late one night. It was about a half-an-hour bus ride, and I had fallen into deep sleep. I woke up suddenly thinking I had missed my stop, when the guy sitting next to me said, "Don't worry, this isn't your stop. You get off at the next one." I've never seen this guy in my life, and he knew exactly what bus stop I needed to get off at. Well, he sounds like a very nice person. Maybe he was just looking to wake you up at the right time. Last week, I heard a guy in Seattle say, "I looked that spider right in his eyes and told him F you." Hey, sometimes dealing with a spider in your house can get really intense. One time a cool dude on a bicycle was telling some friends and I about the abandoned school we were breaking into, and how he used to teach there. Also about how he was getting evicted and spent his last $10 on a 12-pack, which he had maybe 3 of left at about 10 a.m. Anyway, he's rambling on until he goes, "Let me ask you a question, and you know what the answer is?" The answer is... No, let me ask it first. "Okay, what's up?" And we all go, not much, I don't know." And he goes, "No, the sky, that's what's up." "Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question again, and this time, no, okay, what's up?" And we all go, the sky?" And he goes, "No, I just pissed myself, that's what's up." And his gray sweatpants had a huge growing dark spot as he proceeded to ride away. You know, I long for the day when I'm as happy as somebody like this. I'm walking my dog and come across a younger guy, maybe 23 or 24, looking at his phone. He's in the middle of the block, and I'd never seen him before. He struck me as odd from a distance because he just looked out of place, like maybe he was lost. Anyway, I get about 5 feet away and he looks up from his phone like I startled him. He stares at me like he thinks he knows me. I stare back. He slowly raises his hand up from his side in a slow arc and points directly at me. His mouth opens, and he shouts, I'm gonna butt slam!" I think I said, "What the F?" And then he ran off, went between 2 houses, and jumped over a fence. To this day, I don't know who he was or what the F. I mean, what is there to know? He told you he was gonna go butt slam, duh. I say, "Your dog is so cute, ma'am." And the old lady says, "Yeah, well, that's what that whore Tracy wants you to think." Oh, okay, well, hope her day goes better after that. So I drive a Honda Element, get out of the car to go into the grocery store, and the stranger says, "Guess you're out of your element now." Oh man, really the only option then is just to slap him. We can't be encouraging this kind of behavior. As a child, I was walking through New York with my parents. This complete stranger came up to me and asked which of my parents I preferred. You know, any of these that mention I was in New York and somebody came up and said something weird to me, I'm just gonna automatically picture the Impractical Jokers. I work in retail, and as I was checking a customer out, she complimented the color of my shirt. I thanked her and kept ringing her out. Then she looked at me and said, "You look like you're set up higher than most people, like I am." I said, "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" And she goes, "Oh, your boobs, dear. They're just set up high on your chest. Don't you feel like when you walk into a room, they go in first and are large and in charge?" I'm pretty sure I just laughed nervously and prayed that computer would print her receipt as fast as possible so she would leave. Well, just based on this thread, so guys can only really get those compliments at the urinals, but women can just get them anywhere. New Year's Eve a couple years ago, at a bar with some friends, and this old lady comes up and tells me, "You look like the kind of guy that would have babies with my granddaughter." I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment. Well, I hope you at least got a number. That sounds pretty promising. Me and my little brother was walking through the suburb to get to the post office and collect a package. When we were almost all the way there, a tall, bearded man with wild hair and a dirty pink onesie put himself between us and the post office. He was maybe 50 and looked like a typical, "I've been an alcoholic my whole life" kind of person. In his arms, he held a wild hare that he somehow had caught. He said to us, "Do you see this bunny?" Yeah. And with the most sad voice I have heard, he said, "Isn't life just completely worthless?" And then he walked on. I've had weird things before, but this one is one of the top 3 ones for sure. Man, the Easter Bunny's sure been on hard times lately. I boarded a bus a few years ago wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. I think it had a few burning skulls and a scarecrow with a scythe. And a man with a thick Nigerian accent cried, "Witchcraft! Witchcraft!" with what seemed to be genuine terror, before disembarking. Well, sounds like Iron Maiden's not doing any Africa tours anytime soon. Well, looks like that's all of the stories for the week. You know, I think that these random weird people stories are some of my absolute favorite, because they're just like the most unpredictable kind of people. And it's nice to see people break out of the traditional mold that every person seems to fall into. But anyways, I'll see you next week.